Beans. You all know the song already, so I'm not going to degrade myself by singing it. But I will say that beans are good for your heart. And they do make you fart, but the latter eases off over time as you eat more of them. Which is the goal of today's video. If you are bean curious, if you're bean skeptical, if you're just not sure what to do with those little guys. We're going to work together and find a bean format that speaks to you by going over the basics of making beans taste good. And then by making a bunch of S foods. Salad, sauce, soup, slop, sandwich, snack, sweet treat. A variety of foods for a food that has a lot of varieties. There are hundreds of kinds of beans. Isn't that neat? On one very bored, very drunk night in lockdown, my friend Anne and I were in a little Google Meet together and found ourselves on a Pinterest board called Rare and Unusual Beans. The colors on those beans, I'm telling you, they're incredible, and I'm going to link it. Anyway, the basics. You are probably not ordering beautiful purple beans on the internet just yet, so we're going to work with some common beans in the can. Instructions to come shortly after for our dried bean using individuals. Here are my canned beans. They might not seem like much, packed in their own juices, but I want you to gaze upon them lovingly. I want you to treat them the way you treat any food you revere. You don't just boil a chicken breast or a Brussels sprout and do nothing else to it and expect it to taste good. This also applies to beans. They need to be cared for, and they deserve to be cared for. Now, every can of beans that comes in your house, dump them in a strainer and rinse off the bean juice. You don't want to taste the bean juice. You want to taste the beans. Then, put them in the pan with a little oil and some aromatics. For all of these beans, I am using garlic and shallot. You could also do a little broth here if the next stop for your beans is something soupy. But regardless of what your plan is for the beans after, unless it's a bean dessert, I would start here. Take the flavor of the can, make it go away, and then bring in some nice aromatics to help your beans shine. You can just eat them like this right now. You can throw them in dinner immediately. I will be returning to these beans throughout the week as I cook all of the bean video meals. So they're going away for now. Goodbye, beans. If you're using dried beans, they require a little more time, a little more forethought. You'll want to soak them overnight to soften them, and then boil them for like an hour when it's time to cook them. Isn't Philadelphia charming? You can boil them in broth and then throw the aromatics in at the end. The same principle applies. You just need to think about it beforehand and know if you're going to eat those beans tomorrow. Okay, now we have a lot of beans. They've been drained, they've been rinsed, and they've been prepped. Let's cook some S foods with them. First S food, salad with sauce that is also made from beans. I am no longer on TikTok. That app was bad for my psyche. One too many people told me I looked like girl John Lennon over the course of a week, and that had to be it for me. But while I was still a TikTok user, I encountered the dense bean salad. This is not a light, leafy green salad. The dense bean salad is thick. This is true salad salsa. Extremely meal preppable salad salsa. For your dense bean salad, you will of course want beans. And you can mix and match for this. You can have more than one kind of bean in here. I am doing black beans and kidney beans. You'll want some veggies that can be chopped to about bean size for the purposes of density. I am using bell pepper, jalapeno, and shallot. You'll want some fresh herbs, maybe even 2. I'm using dill and whatever else you want to mix in. I am doing the Light Life Smoky Tempeh bacon because I like to chop it tiny and eat it cold. And couscous because I have Near East couscous disease. Once you have everything chopped, the original dense bean salad girl, who I will also link, she makes a vinaigrette and lets her bean salad soak in it all week. So over the course of the week, it tastes even better. That is good. And you can do that if you want to. But because we're making a bean video, I wanted to make a bean dressing. Is that so wrong? So I'm going to take my salad prep. I'm going to put it away, and I'm going to follow the sauce video dressing method using white beans as my base. I have here my prepped white beans. I'm going to blend them with water till they're a nice creamy base, and then I'm going to add an acid. I've got some pickled jalapeno brine. I'm going to blend in some roasted jalapenos and some wilted spinach. I'm going to add a hunk of miso and some salt and pepper and nutritional yeast. And come lunchtime, I scoop out my nice cold dense bean salad. I put a glob of dressing on the top. I add a little sauerkraut. I add a little feta. I add a little chili crisp, and then I am happy. There is something about putting bean dressing on beans that doesn't quite feel right. It's like when I eat oatmeal, I don't make it with oat milk because something about the oats in their own juices just like doesn't sit right with me. That's an almond milk only endeavor. Okay, it's time for soup. I have a confession. I'm not a big soup guy. Not because I don't like it. It just has many of the same issues that I historically had with salad. I like to eat big meals with all the food groups in them, and soup is often not that. But I do want to give soup the salad treatment this winter, so I will report back on that. But for now, I do know I like beans in soup. So I'm gonna make a soup for the bean video to show you it can be done. We're once again starting with our aromatics. So I've got some garlic and shallot in the pot. I have my pre-prepped white beans, those are going in. And then I seasoned and air fried a pack of seitan to give it a little crust. And I threw that in too. For the broth, I made a paste with better than bouillon, tomato paste, and miso. I added just a little bit of water to that, threw it in the pot, cooked everything in that good concentrated sludge, and then added the rest of the water. Boil it all together and season and taste as you go. I learned that from watching the Food Network as a child. Keep tasting your food as you cook it. You don't want the end product to be a surprise. And here we have her. Soup. I'm glad it cooled off this week because I was really not looking forward to eating soup in 95-degree, 100% humidity. But this was very good. I'm excited to expand my soup repertoire this year. And your takeaway here should be, if you give your beans some preliminary love instead of just throwing them in the pot raw, you're going to have an even better soup experience. Slop. Is slop just thicker soup? Much to think about. This is probably my favorite application of beans and the format in which I eat them the most. Chili, jambalaya, gumbo, rice and beans, tofu scramble. I love flavorful mush. So let's make some. The rules for great slop are as follows. 1, always start with aromatics. 2, season every single layer you add. And 3, have a second pot to make things crispy before you throw them in the main pot. I know this means you have to clean 2 pots, but it's worth it. Today I am making chili, and in both pots I have garlic and shallot going. In the first one, the main pot, I'm going to put my beans, kidney, pinto, and black beans, a tri-bean chili, and season them. My preferred chili seasonings are salt, cumin, garlic, onion, smoked paprika, cayenne pepper, chili powder. And in the other pot, I've got a packet of Beyond ground beef. If I added this to the main pot right now, it would never get a nice crust with all those beans in the way. It would be like boiled Beyond ground beef, and you don't want that. Season the beef in the side pot, and once it is ready, transfer to the main pot. If you wanted to add anything else, anything that requires the heat of the pan and not just boiling in hot mush, put it in the second pot, cook it there, and then transfer. Mushrooms, veggies, second pot first. I am not adding those things because I like chili with just straight up beef and beans. But in other slops, there's more of a switcheroo thing going on. And the last piece is canned tomatoes, which you can just dump straight in the main pot because it only needs to be heated up as hot mush. Do you see what I'm saying here? Do you see what I'm getting at? But don't forget to season them. We're seasoning every single layer. Yes, we are. Also, I think the best canned tomatoes for chili are the little fire roasted ones, but I forgot to buy them. And this is what I had. So that is my recommendation, especially if you have big tomato textural troubles, but do want the nice tomato, slightly acidic addition to the chili. And who wouldn't want that? When reheating it, I like to re-season it, bring it back to life, maybe add a little broth if you're getting crazy. Your 3-bean chili is going to be so flavorful, you're not even going to know what to do with yourself. And upon serving, I am a firm believer that the best way to eat chili is with a thick slab of Velveeta on top. And a great thing about being vegan is that a lot of the store-bought cheeses are functionally Velveeta cheese-like, but also kind of weird. So I've got some Daiya cheddar shreds on here as well, and I'm thrilled about it. A video about how to culture your own non-dairy cheese is coming soon. Sandwich. Beans on toast, but not in the British way. I did actually have some beans on toast in London this year, and it was actually really good. And I'm sorry for making fun of it for all those years. The full English was good. Sue me. But that's not what we're doing right now. We're making chickpea salad sandwich. Nice and simple, a barbecue classic. I didn't grow up liking any of the mayonnaise-based salads. Those were troubling foods for me. But adult me knows you can take the basic concept of any recipe and then you can do whatever you want with it. So let's make a chickpea salad sandwich, shall we? The base of these things is usually a lot of mayo to a little mustard. And I basically went 1-to-1. You can do whatever ratio you like. You'll want some sort of acid in there, usually lemon juice, but I did pickled jalapeno brine. I also added the chipotle Cholula because I think it tastes good. And I specifically like it when it's mixed with mayo. And this whole thing right here is about neutralizing the mayo. You'll want some herbs, fresh or dried is fine. I use some dried dill. And if you want a little crunch, celery, green onion, pickles, all that stuff is great. I already have garlic and shallot in there from prepping the chickpeas, and I put nutritional yeast in there because I put it in everything. That joke about vegans is true. A lot of them aren't, but that one's real. And then you mash it with a potato masher, and then you put it on bread with a big fat summer heirloom tomato and some greens. And that's beans on toast, the not British edition. Snack. In case you didn't already know, you can air fry beans. and it will give you a nice, delicious, crispy little bean snack. These make an excellent salad topper, a little bean crouton, but my salad already has so many beans in it that I wasn't gonna do like a third bean element in one salad, you know? So I'm just eating them on their own. Little bean snack for me. This is very simple. You just season your beans and then you air fry them on 400 for 10 minutes. If you've just pre-prepped all your beans and you want to make bean snack, I would refrigerate them for a while. You don't want to be air frying some currently wet hot beans. You want them to be cold first. I did one little sweet and smoky batch with maple syrup, cayenne pepper, smoked paprika, and adobo, and one sort of Cheeto-esque batch with nutritional yeast, garlic, and onion powder. Salt on everything. Little spritz of oil for crisping, 10 minutes on 400, bean snack. These will re-crisp pretty well if you want to meal prep them, but I think the thing that makes the most sense would be to marinate and then just crisp them right as you want to eat them. And finally, sweet treat. Here's where I confess to you that I am not a good baker, let alone a good vegan baker where most of the main food groups have been removed from the recipe. If you've watched a few of my videos, you have probably put together that I'm like a vibes-based cook first and foremost. I don't really follow exact recipes. I don't really give exact recipes. I let the spirits guide me. And this does not work for baked goods. You can't look at a recipe for brownies and say, okay, sure, but I know better. And yet that's what I keep doing. So when I want dessert, I just buy it. However, I have received a bean sweet treat request with 9 whole likes on it, and I am here to show you variety. So I'm gonna make black bean brownies and we're all gonna see how it goes together. I will say that for whatever reason, I have had more luck veganizing non-vegan recipes than I have just straight up following vegan recipes. I think a lot of vegan dessert recipes are trying too hard to be healthy. Like I don't want the dessert to have no oil. Dessert should have oil in it. But regardless, I have a non-vegan black bean brownie recipe from Live, Eat, Learn, which I will link. And I'm gonna make it vegan with the Bob's Red Mill egg replacer, which out of everything I've tried, I have had the best luck. Also, don't pre-cook your dessert beans and savory ingredients. Maybe that's obvious, but just in case, don't do that. But do drain and rinse them. Okay, you start by blending up your beans into black bean paste. And then, I know I said I was gonna follow the recipe. You're supposed to put all your wet ingredients with the beans and mix them together. And then in another bowl, put all your dry ingredients together. And then mix all of the bowls together. I just mixed it all in one bowl. And I have to say, I was kind of skeptical when I put these in the oven, but I had a lick of the batter. And it was pretty good. And they came out looking like brownies. They didn't quite have that gloss on top. But I think with enough chocolate chips, most things taste pretty good.
All right, I'm skeptical of this, but I'm going to microwave it and I'm going to see how it goes.
Okay, that's good. I like it. It's definitely texturally different. Okay. Huge brained idea 2 days later. What if I air fry a bunch of little chunks of this, of my brownies, and then I put them in the protein sweet treat? Okay, that is my video on beans, an ode to beans. If you want to get really deep into the bean lifestyle, if you want to find yourself some rare and unusual beans, they're on Rancho Gordo. You can order fancy purple beans on the internet, and you can make salads with them if you really want to. Okay, bye.